Millionaire Podcast. Charles will be here with Andre C. Hatchet, mobile notary guru. Uh, man, people, I've been getting messages. People like, man, it's good to hear you back on the podcast. And so we got to keep going and we got to keep bringing this content to the people. Nobody can do it like you do it. Everybody has their own way, but nobody can do it how you do it. What's going on, brother? I'm not getting audio from you. Oh. But yeah, so we're here. There's a lot of things going on these days. A lot of really cool things. Oh, I can't hear you though. No, sir. While Drake gets that figured out, if you guys are watching, let us know where you're from, what city, what state. I don't know what happened. It was just working for you, and then all of a sudden it stopped working.
It was. All right.
There we go.
No mic. Let's go no mic. Mic ain't working. No mic it is. All right, Charles, we are back.
Yeah, man, those mics can be kind of tricky. That's why I was sitting here tapping mine like, I got to make sure this thing works.
Yeah, it is what it is. But yes, you're right. People miss you, man. Your voice is needed. So no more disappearing.
How things going in Atlanta, man? I was just thinking about that. I haven't been there since March.
Atlanta's cool, brother. Atlanta's cool. You know, I call it a top 5 American city, and especially a top 5 American city in the summertime. I just think it has everything in which progressive people are looking for. You want the suburbs? It's there. You want the city? It's there. You want hookah and wings? It's there. You want an upscale restaurant? It's there. You want Wagyu? It's here. You want parks? It's here. The only thing it doesn't have are beaches, but it does have a lot of lakes. It does have, if it had a beach, it'd be over.
Yeah,
it would friggin' be over. But Atlanta's a great place, man. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, a lot of people are still leaving these big states and moving to Georgia, moving to Texas, moving to even Florida. I like Florida. I've been seeing some
Memphis,
like condos in Florida.
Memphis, Tennessee, Nashville's coming popular too. Yeah.
So a lot of really cool things have been happening. Stock market was up this week. It looks like real estate's starting to do really well, starting to pick up. People have more confidence. Investors are being more confident. I'm becoming a lot more confident in the market.
Okay.
Specifically in Detroit, man. Like Detroit lately has been really showing some strength.
Shout out to the D.
Keep seeing these reports about property values going up. Keep seeing reports about rents going up. So really cool things are happening.
Is the options course back out, or are you re-releasing it?
No, it's never gone away. The options course is still there.
Okay.
The pricing kind of fluctuates. I don't necessarily run ads as heavy as I used to run ads, in part because ads, the way I was running them, weren't doing that well.
Got it.
So when Instagram throttled down everybody's reach, the way that we were able to reach people semi-organically by paying to get on larger pages wasn't as effective anymore. Like, I'm not sure if you noticed this, but like Black World Renaissance, you don't see much of their stuff anymore.
Yeah.
They're still there.
They are. They're taking a break. Shout out to Jalen. Now, here she got married. They're taking a break for a while. So I think there's a few things. But here, if you have reels that can connect, I think that's just as good or better than ads. If you have a fire reels campaign.
Mm-hmm. I can see that. You know what else I've been realizing is a lot of the content that gets the most views is relationship content. I've been posting a lot of relationship content on the business page. People are always like, why are you posting relationship content on the business? And that's because business is a relationship. Whenever people talk about these relationships, it always comes down to money.
People love relationship content. I post stuff once in a while just for reaction. Stuff I don't even really care about sometimes. Like, people love it.
Mm-hmm.
They love single stuff. They love the financial dynamics of a relationship, bro. Yep. Love the financial dynamics. Why do you think that is?
I think people are getting older. I think that a lot of people, like, social media has aged with us.
Ooh, that's
Like,
deep.
so when social media was first introduced, like I was like early college.
Okay.
I remember tweeting through my college graduation. And so like the people that are still on social media, the people who social media started with, and they're aging, they're getting into their mid 30s, late 30s, and they're like, bro, like it's supposed to happen already. And so a lot of people are talking about dating, a lot of people are talking about marriage. There's even like a whole kind of dynamic of people talking about divorce now. Like,
Oh yeah.
her divorced, and then she has a whole thread of stories about why she got divorced, what divorce looks like, what life looks like after divorce, all that stuff. So it's like, I don't know. I think it's just immediately relevant to the community. I think that part of it was because the economy was so bad over the last 4 years.
Oh, there wasn't much to talk about financially. Yeah, that makes sense.
Started dealing with inflation, and people, I think it's like you said, it's like people can't afford to be single, but they don't realize that that's really the difference maker.
Yo, bro, I am a fan of practicality over damn near everything else in most situations. People are literally can't afford to live alone, and I'm not being facetious. They literally can't afford to live alone, but yet they're taught. But yet, single people have a longer list than y'all married people of things we won't do.
And single people also walk over things that married people stay through.
Whew.
So like, you see somebody who's been married for a long time, they probably been counseled through the stuff that you were like,
oh, I would never do that. You can leave. I'm like, fam, you are almost homeless. Telling someone to leave a relationship. So and I don't know how or who should do it, but a panel, like a 90-day boot camp thing. All right. Income dynamics. All right. She's making 60, he's making 40. They're both working class poor. Bingo. They have a mild attraction or above. And what's that mild attraction? 6+. They are a 6+ attraction level to each other. Are they 10? No. Who needs 10? Nobody. 6+. All right. Check the mental health and criminal backgrounds. All right. All check out. They date for 30 days, no sex. 30 to 60 days, if they want to have sex, they have sex. 90 days, they're in a full-fledged relationship and they move in together. Bam, ends poverty. Done. Now, Jay, that's not romantic. People are losing their apartments and houses. We got to wake up.
Romanticism is fake, man. Expecting everything to be romantic is fake.
Disney World. It's like, yo, this isn't the time for black girl luxury like that, fam. Not now. I mean, hey, 5 years from now. And I've always said this, and you probably heard me say this, Charles. You give people 3 to 7 years, they'll be rich if they want to. They'll be rich. They'll be rich with maxing out Roth IRAs, S&P 500, vacation. Okay, not every quarter, but every year. You know, you gotta have some fun there. Keeping debt low, 2 or 3 duplexes, maybe 1 or 2 other things in there. They have gone from no net worth to at least 500 to $1 million. 7 years, 5 years. We're late to the party often as black people, and then we aren't very aware of now is not the time for this. So I get hypergamy. It works. Cool. If you're holding out, 16% of humans make $100,000 a year. So maybe that's not the mission right now. But y'all together, y'all could be lit. 3 years goes by really quick, bro. Really quick. 4 years, really quick. So we got to get serious, man. AI taking jobs. And people saying, you know, I would never. Married people have a shorter list than single people. Why is our list so long? And single and broke. 50-50 ain't it? Cool. I'm actually cool with that. 60-40 is a fair number. 70-30. There's other numbers besides 100-0 and 50-50.
Who is holding it up? Who's holding it up? Who do you think is holding up the marriage?
Who's holding back the marriage rates in the black community?
Yeah.
So I gotta go to social media with this one because everybody I know was in a relationship besides me, and check 2 other people. Everybody else I know was in a relationship. So who's more to blame? You know what I think did it? Woman freely having casual sex
Man.
and
All right,
bragging
hold
about
on. And let's stay there, because when you mentioned when you're giving your whole timeline of people and you're like 30, 60 days and you can have sex. But why do you think the freely casual sex thing is playing a part?
So it's not just freely casual sex, it's women bragging about the free casual sex. All right, so there are 3 levels of guys in most women's eyes, right? The guy she meets, she instantly wants bingo. He could be married, he could have a girl. She just wants him in adult ways, right? Then there's the B guy. Still attractive. She's attracted to him, but maybe not animal lust. They usually date 2 to 5 times before they have adult relations. Then there's the C guy. It does reasonably well with women, not as attractive. She looks at him, he's like the stepdad, or like the guy she dates later after she has all the fun. So B and C are the ideal husbands for most ladies. So when men are hearing women talk about publicly and bragging about how they make one guy wait and one guy not wait, the marriage-minded B and C guys are like, yo, so I do all this stuff and I gotta wait 90 days, or you don't, or you friends know me. And I think they are kind of rebelling because they're getting the short end of the stick. So I think some men are like, damn, I didn't know women were like that. Mm-hmm. Now, I think most people are in that, most guys I know at least are in that B range. We kind of know the game. We work within our wheelhouse. All right, cool. We're not the first night guys, but you know, it will happen. We're not stressed for it. But I think some men are rebelling. Now, I do think most men want relationships. I'm a believer in that. I do not think most men like being single, but I think women talking so openly about certain things is kind of a turnoff for a lot of traditional men.
So my perspective on that is, I always tell people there's a reason why God gave his commandments. There's a reason why there's certain principles in the Bible that are there. And a lot of people would have exactly what they want and the things that they're praying to God for if they just did the things that God told them to do. Mm. And one of those things is no sex before marriage. And the thing about sex before marriage is it creates bonds with people that you shouldn't be bonded with. Yeah. And then the people that you probably should be connected to, they're like, already experienced this, so like I'm gonna just move on to the next thing. Like a lot of women, they're on so many first dates because the guy's pursuing the sex, he gets the sex, and then he's on to the next one, and he'll tell them everything they want to hear to get the sex, and then that's why they have this inflated sense of self-esteem, because all they've been hearing is first date talk. They never get to the, we're 2-3 years in this thing. Here's what I really think. Here's what we really need to work on. All they're hearing is, you're so fine, you're so gorgeous. Oh, I'm gonna take you here. I'm gonna do this for you. I saw this quote that said that dudes instantly become broke after the first month of dating them. And they're like, yeah, that was the recruitment budget. Once I recruited you and I got you on the squad, now you get to see what I really am working with. Bro. And so I think that sex in the community does ruin the dating dynamics, because we're churning through people so fast that, like, you're doing something that should be saved for marriage. And if you save it for marriage, you likely have a marriage. And I think that is the interesting thing about it.
And here's the thing. Men won't say that. Most of them won't say this. And might not even know it within ourselves. But men, we want our woman, generally speaking, to be more conservative than we are sexually. So someone might say, well, men are having sex with the woman with the casual sex. True. Subconsciously, or maybe even consciously, we want our woman to have a higher barrier. Oh, yeah, higher barrier of entry. Mm-hmm. So here we are. Now, how do we get around this? Practicality. Pairing up. Get an accurate rating of yourself. You aren't that fine. Your man probably won't be rich. It's fine. But these words are offensive now, Charles. But this has always been there's always been a cool kid's lunch table, nerdy kid lunch table, and a loner's table. We've always had lanes in life, but now social media, we think we're all in the same lane. Fam, I can't get some woman some other people can get. It is the game. Someone likes me. All you need is one. And hardcore honesty, because people can't afford it. I'm just gonna keep it right there, Chuck. I'm at my new camera. People cannot afford it. You can't afford it, bro. When are we just gonna realize how much further we can get? And again, I'm gonna come off of 60-40, 70-30. How much further can we get? Let's just use some real numbers if possible. Let's say we're at $4,000 a month in household bills, major bills. Sister's on her own. Ideally, she would have got a guy to pay all that. I'm for that if that's in the budget. But there's an 8% chance that can happen, and I'm using data with that. 8% chance that can happen. So 70% of the 4,000 is 2,800. So instead of the sister paying 4,000 on her own and struggling, now the guy comes in, he pays 2,800. Now she's paying 1,200. Still a dynamic where the man's paying more. All right, cool. Now there's more money to invest. She hasn't been able to invest in the Roth IRA. Now she can. She hasn't been able to buy a small single-family home in Detroit to rent out for $800 or $1,200 a month. Now she can. Now it's like, oh, shoot. So my ideal was 100-0. I realized that's not my lane in life. I got a 70-30 situation, and now my wealth grew up. Now I'm having sex with one person every night instead of random people. Less chance of diseases. Quality of life goes up. Someone to go to weddings with. Someone to pour into. Someone to cook for. Someone to cook for me. You hurt your hamstring. Someone to help you out. This single experimental thing we are in has failed. People aren't happier, bro. They ain't. And I know happiness isn't the goal. People aren't as satisfied or fulfilled. We're going backwards.
Happiness isn't the goal, but it is cool when you have it.
It is cool when you have it. Bingo. It is cool when you have it.
I think that one of the interesting things, so I was going to share this post. I can't see it right now because it's taking forever to log in, but it was this article that said that like 70% of couples report that they go 50-50 on their bill.
Yeah, they have to. I don't know.
But the thing is like, I think social media being so much of our life, it's misinforming people to think that reality isn't reality and that everybody's living this fairy tale dream where everything's paid for, everything's this and that.
People are lying, Charles. They're lying.
And not showing everything either.
I mean, it's just data, bro. It's 8% of men could afford it. Now, unless you want to go to polygamy, which I'm fine with.
But so we're talking of you brought up hypergamy, and Paul Pierce had this post. He was talking about how it doesn't even make sense to get married if you're rich.
All right. I actually was hoping you bring that up. So I think people can be married without a marriage license. Some people might disagree with that. Say no marriage license, no marriage. I disagree. Marriage license is actually fairly new in society. So I agree I wouldn't word it like that, but so let me use an example. So Rihanna, third child on the way. Shout out to her and ASAP Rocky. People were saying on the Shade Room, this lady said third kid and no ring. I could never. Then someone else has said, a lady has said, why would she marry him? She's rich. Just do what you're doing. So if you don't want a marriage license, you can still be in a relationship. You can still have a wedding. You can still do all the other stuff. So his verbiage is usually off, to be honest. But I hear what he's saying. But there's other ways to cement your relationship outside of the government and paperwork.
And I think that, so the first thing I'll say is that while we in rich folks' business, like let rich folks do what rich folks do, and normal people need to figure out how they can make it happen. Because marriage does make sense for normal people. That's one point. The second thing I would say is even if you are rich, you should be getting married intelligently. And I think that's one of the problems with these athletes is I guarantee you that there are some formal documents. There's a conversation with somebody's lawyer that's going to be have if you want to marry one of the Trump kids, or if you want to marry one of the Bill Gates kids, or if you want to marry into a wealthy family. There's going to be a conversation. It might not be a conversation between the potential husband and the potential wife, but a lawyer is going to pull that wife to the side and say, hey, I understand you guys are in love. However, in this family, there's going to be these things because we're not going to allow you to come in and destroy everything that we've built. But athletes don't have that conversation. Athletes hop in there blindly, like it's love, and they do stuff. Like it's like just because you have money doesn't mean that you're rich, really. Like you got to still be wealthy. You got to be moving as though that's what you are. You can't be out here moving like Joe Blow when you have a bunch of money. That's how you take the L.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you Kanye, when he married that Bianca Ciciorni lady, it was way different than when he married maybe Kim, or if he would have married somebody else. Like he went in there like a lot more guarded, a lot more financially protected.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this. You being married on paper, do you think somebody who does everything else besides the marriage license is less married than someone like you?
To a certain extent, kind of, only because a part of marriage that makes marriage is that it's a lot more difficult to get out of than if you're just married in theory.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
And that being in there is what makes you push through difficult things. That being in there is what helps you grow. Like that's the thing is like I talk about like, oh, all the things that as a married person you're overlooking that a single person wouldn't, but all that's maturity, all of that is growth, all of that is wisdom. Like that's a good thing having to go through some difficult stuff and make it on the other side. Not going through some good stuff and saying, I don't want to deal with this difficult stuff. I'm out of here. That's the wisdom that our community needs to develop, but we're not. We're staying infantile in our relationships. And so everything is surface level. Everything is, what are you buying me? Where are you taking me?
And now let's say this. Let's say that they aren't going to do the formal route. Is it still better to go without the paperwork or just continue to do the baby mama, baby daddy stuff we're doing?
You know, if that's the compromise people want to find, then I guess so.
Okay.
I mean, that's a whole lot better than not doing anything at all. Is it completely where I would like for us to be? No, but it's way better than the co-parenting from different households, different bills. I had this thought because yesterday, me and Nolan, so my wife went to the Beyonce concert yesterday with her friends, and so me and Nolan were just hanging out.
Okay.
And I was like, it's so funny because like Nolan has everything and more. Because I just go and I just get it done. So much so that his mom is like, why does he need all this? But it's like if we weren't together and the only way I was able to provide for my son was by giving money to her, he'd only have what she wants him to have. But now she gets what he wants him to have and more because I'm there and I make it happen. And so it's like just that presence alone expands the relationship for the child, puts the child in a better experience. And so I know that kind of is like on a tangent, but I would just say that I believe I was raised Christian. So I went to school, I went to church every Sunday until I was 18, until I left the house. And then I kind of fell out for a little bit, and then I started to kind of go back to myself. And so my core values are Christian values, like 100%.
Got it.
And so everything that I kind of root comes back to Christian values. That's why I'm conservative. And I just believe in that. I just believe in that. So I don't believe in what people on the internet think we could do, might do. I'm just like, what did God say about it? What does the Bible say about it? Because I think that a lot of us we're just guessing. We're like, I think this might work. Well, what we need to be doing is looking at the elders and having the elders who have seen all this stuff play out. Your grandma, your grandpa, your aunts, your uncles, they've seen it all play out. They've lived the life that you lived before you've lived it. And so that's why I don't really take advice from people who are my age or younger. I've only my entire life led it by listening to people who are steps ahead of me, by looking at their life and how they modeled that life and saying, okay, they have the good life. Let me make that happen. And
you're 36, 37.
No, I'm 38, man.
38. Yeah. Okay.
Old AF.
So the stock market is up.
That's a dope pick. Yeah, man. Stock market is it's I'm not sure where it is in the grand scheme of things from like the highs to the highs, but from where we were, we've had some good weeks, we've had some good days, a lot of optimism in the market with the trade talks and whatnot. Over the long term, the stocks that I've bought, those are for sure up. So I bought a lot of stuff on discount. I bought Meta like maybe 3 years ago. I bought Tesla maybe like 3 years ago. I bought Amazon. I bought Nvidia. My Nvidia is kind of flat. And so like it's funny because a lot of people who when they're in the stock market, they think you have to be trading in and out, watching the charts, trying to catch different little bumps and jumps. But really like the secret is buy something that's quality on a discount and let it ride.
Let it ride on red. How is it juggling corporate? You back in corporate 2 years, year and a half?
Yeah, it's been about 2 years. I would say about 2 years.
Okay, so how are you doing with it? How are you enjoying it?
You know the crazy thing about it, man, and I think I've said this on this conversation before, is like successful people are successful. And so my career has just gone up, man. When I went back in, I just went back in at like a basic level, and I've just like consistently gotten increases. And so now I'm at a point where I'm managing my own case. I just settled a case yesterday.
Congrats.
I have like 3 or 4 cases in the pipeline that should be getting settled. And I'm like, man, I could do this for myself. That's always the thought I'm gonna have. I could do this for myself. And I have a lot of friends who are doing dope stuff, guys who have been doing personal injury law for some time, got some decent settlements. I have a friend, he has a nice office in Orange County. He just opened up. He has like half the floor. I got another friend in Vegas. He has his own firm. He's killing it. And so I'm like, I've been fully licensed since January of this year. Last year I was provisionally licensed. So I could do stuff, but it wasn't the same. Now I'm like, okay, I got like 6 months being fully licensed, working my own cases, but I've been working my own cases for a year and a half. I was settling cases last year as well. I probably settled maybe like $500,000 worth of cases last year. Nice. My goal this year is to settle $100,000 per month, if not more.
Wow.
And so you start looking at that and the attorney fees. I'm just like, man, if I could just, if and when I branch out and do my own thing, like that's really the goal is to start leveraging that because you get to help people, you get to add value. And really the reason why I went to law school is because the career of law kind of lends itself to becoming self-employed. Like most attorneys are either a partner in a firm or they own their own firm.
Yeah.
But I mean, now I'm at a point in the firm where I have my own office. It's super spacious, just like I had when I was in downtown with my own office with Tide Capital. I got my own office, and I got a paralegal who helps me do a lot of stuff. He's a solid brother, Nigerian brother.
Okay.
Who actually has he's studying to take the bar, and so like we have a pretty cool kind of like relationship. Like I'm helping him, he's helping me, different kind of things like that.
Dope.
So it's like it's plush now. It's plush now. It's not where I want to be long term, but yeah, it's nice.
So you said successful people are always successful. What habits do non-successful, and when I say successful, I mean in their own eyes, they aren't achieving their vision of themselves?
I'm glad you asked that question.
What do they have in common?
So I would just, so your question, the way I hear it, is what do successful people do differently than unsuccessful people, right?
That or by you can put it like that.
So I feel like the first thing is showing up. because showing up's not easy. I know a lot of people who have jobs and they're never there. They're always calling out, and they lose jobs, get jobs, lose jobs, get jobs. I think showing up is important.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you can never be too big for an opportunity, but also always willing to take on more responsibility. You always got to be like, the reason why I've grown there is because there's nothing they could give me that I'll say, no, I'm not doing that. I'll get it done. And I'll figure out how to get it done. And then you're getting the skills. And so, like, for me, there's attorneys in my firm who didn't do what I did. I grinded. I went to the firm. I started as a clerk, worked as a paralegal, worked as a provisional license attorney, worked as an attorney. But all that work gave me skills. Now that I'm an attorney, I can do everything that anybody can do. But there's other people who their parents put them in place, and it's just like, you're an attorney now. And they haven't done none of the other stuff. And so they're just out in there just spinning their wheels. They can't, they're just struggling. And so, like, I think that, like, wherever you are, that's kind of where you're supposed to be for that moment. Make the best of it, dominate that space, grow in that space. And you can't always look at the grass is going to be greener. You just got to make the grass green where you are. And so, like, that's just a principle that's across the board. Being successful in your career probably requires the same amount of things that are successful in your relationship and your marriage. Being successful as a parent, you got to make the grass green where you are. You got to be willing to put in the work. You got to be willing to sacrifice. You got to be willing to show up, stay late. So I would say that always seeking knowledge, seeking mentorship. A lot of people who aren't where they want to be, they think they know everything. Nobody can tell them anything.
That one is huge. People who aren't where they want to be are the biggest know-it-alls in the world.
Yep.
They take more pride over being right or doing things their way than actually making money and advancing.
Mm-hmm.
Wild. I had a class the other day. Someone paid for $20 to be there, and they were just refuting what I was saying. I was like, I have to be very direct. I was like, I don't think you're coachable. Why aren't you listening? Oh, there might be a better way. I was like, don't want to say what he's doing for a living, but he's not in a position not to listen to me, and put it like that. And I was like, I don't know if you want to be. I don't know. I don't know how successful you're going to be because you're just not flat out listening. And I said, do you trust me? So he's like, yeah. Well, quit trying to be right. I tell you, the need to be right, Charles, I'm glad you said that. It just destroys so many people because they're living in the ego. Your bank account isn't equipped. It's not adding up, which is fine. It's fine not to know. But it's not fine to be so, I need to do it my way driven that you just make no advances, fam. It's wild.
Yeah. So, like, I feel like the culture to a certain extent needs people to shut it down.
Yeah.
Like, we just need elders, a board of directors, something that's like, hey, we have a lot of people talking, a lot of opinions, a lot of thoughts, a lot of people posting different things. That's not how we're going to move as a community. As a community, we decided we're going to do this. These are your career options. These are your opportunities to build a business. I think even to a certain extent, sometimes we mess up because we'll all get into the same line of business instead of like intelligently building a community of different businesses that serve each other.
Yeah, not much originality.
And so, like, that's why we need a leadership body, a governing body to come in and provide some structure and some order and some requirements for parenting, some requirements for marriage, some requirements for dating. I was thinking about this. I was like, the crazy part about it is, like, these dudes, they can just go talk to any woman they want without having to go through a dad sometimes. And your dad's going to be the person that's going to vet that man. He's going to hear everything he's saying and be like, I don't buy it. Because 2 years later, now she's going to all of a sudden get an awakening, but it's too late then. You lost 2 years and you probably got something permanent attached to you when your dad had the foresight to spot that out in the beginning.
Most women reject who their dad would pick.
Yeah, which is a mistake.
The dad would pick the B or C guy. She wants the A guy. Most times, I'm going
And
most
the
times.
A guy gonna dog her out.
He's going to look at her as the casual chick.
The A guy's gonna dog her out
As the casual, yeah,
because she's probably not an A chick.
and it's fine.
Ain't nothing wrong with being who you are.
Now, Max, I'm a fan of self-awareness, Charles, because when you're self-aware, you can max out your lane. When you aren't self-aware, you don't know what your lane is, so there's no maxing out your spot. You can max out your spot. Draymond Green, I think he would have had a 3 to 4 year career if he was on another team, because he was in the perfect. So he in the business world, he would be what I would call an intrapreneur. Intrapreneur is the sidekick to an entrepreneur. Can they run their own company? Yeah, but they probably make way more money and be happier being the intra. If Pat Beverly tried to be John Stockton, he wouldn't have lasted so long in the NBA and overseas. He knew who he was around defense. I'm gonna make 3-4 shots a game, and he did it. He did it well, and be a hard-nosed, gritty guy. Maxing out your lane is it just saves you so much time.
Yeah.
I want this. I want the fam. You never had that before. Why would you get that now at an older age? Oh man, get real, then improve on you. Life
I have another theory of why people are kind of circling back to marriage now, and I think it's like a lot of women were waiting for dudes to kind of peak before they entertain the idea, and now dudes are getting older and now they can finally afford the women who they want. The problem is now the women are older, got some kids, got some stretch marks, got some weight on them, and so like that's contributing to this singleness epidemic as well, where it's like and that's the thing. I like you got to find somebody with opportunity and potential that comes from a good place. So you can tell who a woman is going to be based on what she comes from. What does her family look like? You can tell who a man's going to be based on his family and what he comes from and what he's working on in the present moment. So he might not make 6 figures, but is he on the trajectory to make 6 figures? Is he on the trajectory to live a healthy life? That's what we should be aiming for.
If a guy's making 60, he can make 120 in 5 years. It might not be from his job, but 60 with maxed out IRAs, a little bit in the S&P 500, 2 to 3 rentals, that's the extra 40 right there. It doesn't take long. It literally doesn't take long. But when you have two FICO scores, 2 credit profiles, 2 incomes, this thing can just happen smooth. Then it's like, oh, I'm up. I can retire. Let's look at Anthony. I think he's a perfect example. They don't work jobs anymore. They were working for $9 an hour. I don't know if it was 7 years ago, but maybe 8 part-time while making 6 figures after their daytime jobs. Houses, different states, kids are loaded. 7 years, 8 years, Fran.
I really think that if you were to look at a lot of the married couples on the timeline, they're doing all right. Like even like the big flashy guys that we see, they're usually married. Shands is married. Him 500 is married.
Yep.
Mr. 2 Weeks Out is married.
For a long time.
Who else?
Everybody, bro. I have friends who say, bring your single friends to this event. I don't know single guys. I know 2, and I'm one of them.
Andre, what's holding you up, man?
Well, I was married before. I was in a long-term relationship that I wanted to head to marriage. We weren't marriage compatible. Last year, I was actually sick. I actually had some health issues last year. So,
do you think Atlanta is kind of a place where people aren't really serious about relationship long-term, and they're more so like looking for experiences?
Everything is here. So I have a friend who you met a few times. He was in a 10-year relationship. They never got married. He was single for a year. He does well with women. He met a woman. Within 6 months, they were engaged. So I'm using that context to say everything is here. If you want to be single, it's the perfect place to act like you're 25. If you want to be married, You can act like you're 25 with your woman or with your man. So you asking me, I'm looking, I'm open, I'm looking. Last year I was out of it. I just was out of it. So, but I was married. I was close to being married again, and it's still on the move. But I'm also not someone who's just gonna be married to say I'm married.
Yeah,
I'm not that guy either.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm fully aware. I'm fully aware of myself, aware of my flaws, aware of my good qualities, and I know what's gonna happen. But I'm not gonna. I'm gonna be proactive, but not force it for a title.
Mm-hmm.
If that
I
makes
think
sense.
The luckiest thing I did was find my spouse in college, because like
Nothing-
it's tough out there in the street. Not even so much so like it's tough because the dating world is whatever it is. It's because like in college you're in this space.
You're all
where it's
there.
just, yeah, nothing but just women.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just glancing and they're all there and they all show up every week, every day. You get to see them, and like that's the number one place to find. Because otherwise, like you go work a job and it's like two black chicks there. You go to the mall or you go wherever and you see them like in passing for 5 seconds while they're walking by. Like it's kind of tough to narrow it down in that environment.
College is the best spot. You did the absolute right thing by getting it out the way early. Another thing is people say age. So I had a party, semi-birthday party, launch party to an event that I'm going to be having out here, a monthly event. And I have a lot of younger friends. I always have a lot of younger friends. I always have. I don't know why. But even my boy JR was there. He's married. I have some friends who were 25-ish, 28. There was one other single guy there but me. And he's in his 20s as well. But even my other friends in their 20s, they're married, engaged, or in relationships. It's not an age thing. It's a mentality thing. A lot of, and if I was talking to a woman, is the guy's mentality relationship, commitment, or marriage minded? Because I go on dating shows sometimes. You know Ashley Dalton, right? Full figured, pretty. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Big glasses. So she had a show. Every once in a while, I go on there on YouTube or TikTok. A woman are asking, men questions, and I'm one of the men who gives advice. And a lot of women are dating guys who don't like them. And I try my best way to say it with some amount of sensitivity, but we commit, boy. 3-5 dates. Hey, like let's get this thing wrapped up, because we don't want you on the market when we're into you like that. We know that someone else can scoop you up if we aren't committed. So yeah. We got some work to do.
Dating somebody who doesn't like them, what does that mean?
Then they just don't like you like that.
Meaning that they don't like the true person who you are.
They don't like you enough. And I use the word like because I mean the word like, not love. So if a lady's dating a guy who's not into her like that, he won't bring her to meet his parents. He probably won't bring her to the holiday parties. He might bring her to meet some of his boys. Probably won't buy her stuff. Won't plan a bunch of dates. Maybe go to Miami, but not Cabo. But if we're into a woman, hey, all right, that's my uncle. Come talk to my uncle. Come talk to him. Hey, here goes a book on some stocks. Put 200 in the Roth IRA. Christmas time, we're going to go to my family's house. Thanksgiving, we're going to go to your favorite. We're planning out dates, meaningful dates. And if a woman's not into a guy like that, sex is probably sporadic. She probably doesn't like touching him. And I mean simple touches like on the shoulder, on the arm, stuff like that. So a lot of people, because they can see everybody, we're in this, I can see you, so I'm going to go for you, when, yeah, that's kind of not it. And if a lot of single people are honest, we probably met people who liked us a lot, but we didn't like them like that. But that's our lane. That was it. Self-awareness, fam. Self-awareness.
Interesting.
I think my Knicks are gonna win the championship this year.
If they beat the Celtics, I wouldn't see why not. Who else is out there? Indiana, I guess. So if they beat the Celtics, they got to play Indiana.
Yeah, you play Indiana or Cleveland, but I think Cleveland's going to lose. So Indiana and Knicks, that's going to be a old rivalry restored. How about out west? Thunder, Nuggets.
I don't know who won that game last night against OKC. OKC in Denver. I think OKC won. OKC seems to be the better team.
Denver won.
Oh, damn.
2-1. Yeah, 2-1. And the Wolves and Warriors are 1-1 a game tonight. I can't stand Anthony Edwards.
Me either. I don't like him either.
His personality is annoying as shit, yo.
Yeah.
It's not a fan of him.
I would like to see Steph get it if he gets back healthy and gets out there. I don't know if he'll be playing tonight, but
if he does come back, it'll probably be game like 6 or 7 if he's able to come back.
That's not good.
Yeah, no, it ain't. So we will see. We will see. Be legendary. What does that mean to you?
I put it up there because it was talking about Shedeur Sanders and his whole situation and how they drafted 2 quarterbacks in the same draft. It's weird. A lot of people are trying to predict things. I'm not trying to predict things. I'm just trying to kind of see what plays out because now they have like this rookie QB kind of competition. Some people are saying Shedeur can't play. Some people are saying he can. You never really know with the internet because the internet, you have one person who has an agenda and they're putting his bad passes out there. Another person's putting out his good passes. So it's weird. The internet is crazy. And all these invisible pages.
Figure it out. I think he'll figure it out. He has time to figure it out. Sometimes we overhype ourselves. So he's going to come with a lot of baggage. And like dating, is that person worth the baggage? Now, he's a good kid. I believe he's a good kid. He's a good young man. But, he's who he is. Flashy, entourage, crowds. So not everyone likes that.
But I think the problem is they never seen it before. Like, they never really seen a rich black kid hit the league who had his dad kind of create his whole career because he's been under his dad his entire.
It is an interesting dynamic.
College.
Yeah, it is an interesting dynamic. But all he got to do was win.
Exactly.
That's the thing about life. You win, you silence a lot. So he was drafted late, yada yada yada. But I do like that he did have his own stuff for sale. So he's selling his own jersey. He's still been getting things done on his own, even with all this stuff going on. I'm a fan of him being able to just keep it going no matter what.
Yep. Yeah. I think he has a level head, and I mean he can play, man. Like he can play. At first I thought that they were trying to Tom Brady him. So like I think Tom Brady was just trying to tell him like, nah, we're gonna make you sit on this board for a while so you can see all those teams that pass you up, and now you want to prove them wrong. So I'm kind of hoping that that's what happens. I want to see him start. I want to see him play. I want to see him do well. I really do. Like, I'm definitely rooting for him. It reminds me of the LeVar Ball situation.
Similar.
Yeah.
Similar. And the boys are winning all in their own right. Something else that people who are unsuccessful do, they are very unorganized. And let me get some tangible, simple steps for people to work on their organization. They have a lot of tabs open on their computer. They don't have a dedicated place where they put their notes. They look for shortcuts on everything. Fam, the only shortcut is getting coach to do it, hiring people to do it, and the long cut. Those are the only ones that work. Someone telling you what to do, someone doing it for you, or just accepting that it's going to take longer than it is, than it takes. And they rush. 2 years is too long. 2 weeks is too long. I have a guy, great guy. He kept on asking me, Grant, in simple words, how did you fix your mentality? How did I get to where I am mentally? I said, well, I stopped trying to do it in a week. You keep asking me how to do this shit, and it's literally a week. I'm like, no, stop. He's a great dude, too. And I'm like, no, we have to change. We have to rewire your brain. You guys don't know how hard that is? It's doable, but we have to have a whole new set of patterns. When I get to a relationship, I need to get used to doing a whole new set of things. It's been a while. It's cool. I'm going to tell her, hey, I bet you go for a while. You got to work with me on this. I'm a good dude, but just work with me on certain things. Cool. We have to embrace the long haul in life. And it's not that long. It just sounds like it is.
Yeah. You look at me, 38.
There we go. Hey, I know you got places to go, Charles. Tell Nolan I said hello.
Yeah.
And your mom, tell your wife I said hello. How's she doing? How's your wife doing?
Wife's doing well. She's been working for CBRE, which is a commercial real estate brokerage out here, which is kind of cool because she works in a team where they're in real estate, but they just sell big old warehouses.
Oh, okay.
And so she came into the firm. She was working there, and now she's working on getting a real estate license. And she's actually really serious about it this time. So she has a class. She's working through the class, ordering flashcards. She took the test, I want to say like 2-3 years ago. Didn't pass and kind of sidelined it for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I kind of said, like, bruh, time to get this license finished.
I respect
it. She's focused on that. And so that's really cool. And my mom is actually teaching right now at a community college.
Shout out to her. Okay.
Yeah, so she's teaching accounting and tax classes at the community college. She said she wanted to be a college professor, and she got in there.
Good for her.
And, of course, her goal would be to get to university level. But just the fact that she's there is really cool. So doing that, building her business on different boards and different organizations. So Bam is good, man. Bam is good.
Thing.
Nolan, so we got accepted into our first private school. So that's cool.
That's my man Nolan.
And then we have our second private school interview is this Thursday. And we're expected to get accepted because what they do is they make you go through this assessment.
Yeah.
So for both schools, he had to go, and they made him do a bunch of different things. Made him kind of like determining if he was ready for kindergarten, if he would do well in kindergarten. And so we got both assessments back. Both are really good assessments. So the boy can read at a lot higher than grade level. We're already working on his math, his addition, subtraction. Pretty soon be working on multiplication. My goal is to have my son like advanced, like far advanced. And the reason I want him to be advanced is because then when he's being tested at grade level, he's acing everything. And so I want him to get straight A's. So very intentional about Nolan's education and where he's going to go after that. And get to start talking about his rental property and talking about his stocks. We've been talking about stocks. So it's a blessing. It's really cool to be able to be that person for somebody and just build an amazing young man. So
2-parent household dynamic. Great to see it flourish. They will never go out of style.
Yeah, exactly. All right, brother.
Peace, leader.